In the heart of a bustling city stood an old, stately office building. Its marble floors gleamed under the fluorescent lights, and its glass doors reflected the hurried pace of the world outside. Among the hundreds who passed through those doors each day, few noticed the quiet figure who arrived before dawn and left long after dusk. This was Min, the janitor, a man whose presence was as constant as the ticking of the lobby clock, yet as invisible as the wind that swept through the revolving doors. Min's life was simple, marked by routine and humility. He wore the same faded blue uniform every day, his hands calloused from years of scrubbing floors and polishing brass railings. He never complained, never drew attention to himself. To the office workers, he was a fixture, a background figure who kept their world clean and orderly, but whose name they rarely remembered. Yet Min saw everything. He noticed the anxious interns rehearsing presentations in the hallways, the executives with their hurried steps and furrowed brows, the late-night workers who left pizza boxes and coffee cups scattered across conference tables. He moved quietly through their world, observing without judgment, carrying their secrets in silence. One chilly autumn evening, as the city's lights blinked on and the last workers filtered out, Min began his nightly rounds. The building was nearly empty, the only sounds the distant hum of traffic and the soft whir of the vacuum cleaner. He moved from floor to floor, collecting trash, wiping down surfaces and straightening chairs. When he reached the top floor, Min paused. The executive suite was always the last place he cleaned, a sanctuary of polished wood, leather chairs, and panoramic city views. Tonight, it was especially quiet. The CEO had left early, and the offices were dark except for a faint glow coming from the boardroom. Curious, Min pushed open the heavy door. Inside, the long conference table was littered with papers, water bottles, and the remnants of a catered lunch. At the far end of the table, something caught his eye. A battered leather briefcase, half hidden beneath a stack of folders. He approached, expecting to find it empty or filled with mundane documents. But as he lifted it, he felt its unexpected weight. The lock clicked open easily, revealing a sight that made his heart pound. Bundles of crisp banknotes, neatly stacked and bound, alongside a folder labeled Confidential. For a moment, Min stood frozen. He glanced around the empty room, his mind racing. Who could have left such a fortune behind? Was it a mistake? A test? Or something more sinister? The building was deserted. No one would know if he simply closed the case and walked away. The money could change his life, pay off debts, buy a home, provide for his family in ways he'd only dreamed of. But Min's upbringing had taught him the value of honesty. His parents, humble farmers, had instilled in him a sense of integrity that no amount of hardship could erode. He remembered his mother's words, "A clear conscience is worth more than gold." Still, temptation whispered in the back of his mind, urging him to seize the opportunity. He sat down, the briefcase on his lap, and considered his options. He could report the find to security, but what if they took the money for themselves? He could try to find the owner, but what if the story was more complicated than it seemed? The folder labeled Confidential beckoned, but Min resisted the urge to pry. After a long moment, he made his decision. He closed the briefcase, locked it, and carried it to the building's security office. The night guard, surprised to see Min at this hour, listened in disbelief as Min explained what he had found. The next morning, the building buzzed with rumors. The CEO returned in a panic, having realized his briefcase was missing. When he learned that Min had turned it in untouched, he was speechless. The briefcase, it turned out, contained not only cash but sensitive documents related to a major company acquisition. Information worth far more than the money itself. Word of Min's honesty spread quickly. The company's board called an emergency meeting, and soon Min was summoned to the executive suite, not as a janitor, but as a guest of honor. The CEO, still shaken, thanked Min publicly, praising his integrity and loyalty. The board offered Min a substantial reward, more money than he had ever seen in his life, and a promotion to a supervisory role. But Min surprised everyone. He politely declined the promotion and the reward, explaining that he was content with his work and that he had simply done what he believed was right. "I appreciate your kindness," he said, but I did not return the briefcase for a reward. I did it because it was the right thing to do. The company insisted, offering to at least pay off his debts or provide a bonus. Min accepted a modest sum, enough to help his family, but refused anything more. He returned to his duties, unchanged by the whirlwind of attention. Yet something had shifted. The office workers, who once ignored Min, now greeted him with respect. They learned his name, asked about his family, and thanked him for his hard work. The executives, inspired by his example, launched a new ethics initiative, encouraging employees to act with honesty and integrity. Min's story spread beyond the building, capturing the imagination of the city. Newspapers ran headlines like, "Janitor's honesty saves company," and "The man who walked away from a fortune." People from all walks of life wrote letters, praising Min's character and sharing their own stories of integrity. But for Min, life returned to its quiet rhythms. He continued to arrive before dawn, his blue uniform as crisp as ever. He took pride in his work, knowing that he had made a difference, not by seizing an opportunity, but by choosing to do what was right, even when no one was watching. Years later, as Min approached retirement, the company held a celebration in his honor. Colleagues, past and present, gathered to thank him for his years of service. The CEO, now a close friend, spoke of the lesson Min had taught them all, that true wealth is measured not in money, but in character. Min smiled, humbled by the attention. He looked out at the faces of those he had served, remembering the countless small moments that had defined his career. The kind word to a nervous intern, the extra effort to keep the building spotless, the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. As he left the building for the last time, Min felt a deep sense of peace. He had lived his life with honesty and humility, and in doing so, had inspired others to do the same. The fortune he had found was not in the briefcase, but in the respect and admiration of those around him. In the end, Min's story became a legend, a reminder that even the quietest among us can make a profound impact, not by seeking fortune, but by choosing integrity. And as the city moved on, its lights shining bright against the night sky, Min's legacy endured, whispered in the halls where he had once walked, a testament to the power of doing what is right. So, what does it mean to walk away from a fortune? For Min, it meant walking towards something far greater, the knowledge that his actions mattered, that his choices had shaped the world around him. In a society obsessed with wealth and success, Min's story was a beacon, illuminating the path of honesty, humility, and quiet courage. And perhaps in the end, that is the greatest fortune of all. Whispered Truths brings you soulful stories that inspire. Hit subscribe, and let truth whisper to your heart.